This episode is brought to you by John Blake Sales Breakthrough Solutions, helping you to at least double the amount of leads that you get that convert into paying clients.
Welcome to the Master Dealmaker's Secrets podcast. And now, here's sales growth strategist, John Blake.
Welcome to Master Dealmaker's Secrets. I am John Blake. This is episode 155, and today I'm really excited because we are going to be talking to Ben Wolf from Wolf Energy. Ben has been a client of mine now for over 12 months, and his business is a real inspiration. He's a trades-based business, but I think his business and the lessons and the growth curve that he's been on over the last 7 years are certainly a great example for anyone that wants to grow or scale a business. And in terms of his process for having identified his ideal clients, I think that's going to be super useful as well. So we're going to talk to Ben in a minute, but before we do that, if you have got leads in your pipeline, I'm talking about people that you've spoken to, that you have made an offer to, but they haven't converted yet. If you've got those in your pipeline, I've got a particularly valuable resource for you. It's over at johnblakeaudio.com, and in the training, it's a 15-minute audio training. You will learn the precise strategy that I always start brand new clients on to convert as many of their outstanding quotes into paying clients as possible. So not only will you get the audio training, what you're also going to get is the word-for-word script. So exactly what to write in your email, exactly what to write, exactly what to say when you call them on the phone. And probably the biggest question that I get asked is when to call and when to email and how much is too much. So I've worked out the perfect balance on how to actually follow up with somebody in a way that's proactive, in a way that is professional, but in a way that doesn't piss the person off. So it's over at johnblakeaudio.com. Like I said, it's a particularly valuable resource. It is a great way to create a quick cash windfall in your business, and it is over at johnblakeaudio.com. Grab it, use it, and let me know how it goes. I'd love to hear your success story and what you have been able to create business-wise from putting it into practice. So thanks for that, and I will now head over to the interview with Ben. Cheers. So today I have got Ben Wolf with me, who is the leader of the pack at Wolf Energy Solutions, and I'm really excited because we're going to be talking about Ben's journey in his business, in the electrical and solar contract-based business out of Brisbane. Ben and I have been working together for a bit over 12 months, I think, or at least approaching 12 months. So yeah, really excited to be talking to Ben today about his journey in the business since he kicked off in Brisbane. So Ben, mate, can you give us a bit of, well, firstly, welcome.
Yeah,
but can you give us a bit of background about how did Wolf Energy come about? And, you know, I guess one of the great questions that I'd love to ask you is, you know, what was the gap that you saw in the market? So obviously, you know, you'd obviously been in the market or been in the business for a while. You know, what was the gap that you could see in the market that prompted you to want to set up your own business so that you could fill that gap?
Yeah, okay. Well, I guess a bit of background on me. Sparky by trade. I started my apprenticeship with a tier one company, just doing commercial construction projects, and finished my apprenticeship with them. Spent a few years on as a tradesman, and I just generally felt like everyone was a number, and I just felt a bit, you know, unappreciated, and you know, working all these hours and just falling on deaf ears, your hard work and trying to progress through to a leadership position, and then, you know, getting towards the end of the job and all of a sudden everyone's getting made redundant and they don't really care about anyone. So I didn't like that, and I just felt like I needed a change. And just a few people I knew at the time owned their own businesses, and just got talking to them, and they just sort of said, "Oh, if you feel like starting your own business, we're happy to give you a day's work here and there to help you out." And I just sort of thought, why not? I didn't really have a solid plan at the start when I made the leap, but I knew I just couldn't keep doing what I was doing, and I feel like I could be a better boss than what I was experiencing in construction. So that's what I set out to do. Just sort of made a bit of a leap, which didn't have any real plan. Started just subcontracting to other guys. So a day for him. I might pick up a little bit of my stuff on the side, and then it built to getting my work full time. And then got an apprentice, and then another tradesman, another apprentice, and we sort of kept building from there. So I guess with the gap in the market, I didn't really think of it that way from the start, but it was sort of as I progressed through in business where I started to refine my target market and who I was working for, when I started to notice these different gaps. So yeah, I don't think it was till about midway through starting my business where I started to look for the gaps and then try and fill a hole. So one would be being a better manager and leader than what I have had in the past, because I knew how much that didn't inspire me to want to deliver for them. And I knew that if I could appreciate my staff and show appreciation for the work that they're doing, then I could get more out of the workers than they could out of me. And I've always been a big people person, so I like to make everyone feel appreciated and welcomed, and that's sort of how we've built the core culture of our business.
So it sounds like from what you're saying, that the main gap that you could see was a cultural one.
Yeah.
So a lot of the companies that you'd either worked for or had access to, it didn't really seem like there was a very productive or perhaps healthy type culture. So it sounds like that would that have formed one of your philosophies potentially?
Yeah, I feel definitely getting to work at 6 o'clock in the morning, walking into the smoko shed, and everyone's just got their head down. Can't wait to get into today. And it's just a miserable place to be. So I didn't want to see that in my own business. And it was something that I'm glad I made that leap and I'll never go back to. So that was one of the big things that I wanted to achieve is culture, definitely.
A lot of people who listen to the podcast want to know what we do over at Master Dealmaker Secrets. And effectively what we do is we work with sales professionals and business owners all over the world who are seeing massive increases in their top line sales revenue. So we help business owners and sales professionals to effectively focus on the three key drivers to growing sales revenue in your business. The first one is controlling the message that you send out into the marketplace so that potential clients see and hear and read what you do as an opportunity as opposed to your competitors. The second thing that we do is we help you to create a direct path to the 20% of your ideal clients that will deliver 80% of the revenue. So everyone knows the 80-20 rule. We help you to develop a direct path to the 20% of the people that are going to give you 80% of your sales revenue in your business. And the third thing that we allow you to do, that we create a process for, is for you to be able to double the amount of leads that you get that convert into paying clients. So if this is of interest, we do have an application-only process to become involved in this particular program. And to get to there, all you need to do is to go to www.johnblakescall.com. So it's JOHNBLAKESCALL.com, and there's a couple of questions to answer there, and then what you'll do is get on a quick conversation with me, and I can find out a little bit more about what you've got going on in your business and see potentially whether what you are doing would be a fit for what we could help you with. And at that point, I can extend an invitation if it's a fit, and you can make the choice to come on board or not. So that's the opportunity. That would be the next step if you're looking at how you can take things to the next level. If you're enjoying what you're hearing on the podcast, if you're getting value from it, I invite you to do that, and I will look forward to talking to you. The website is www.johnblakescall.com. Talk to you soon. Yeah, it's so interesting. And what you've just described to me then, walking into the smoko shed and everyone, you sort of walk in there and go, wow, who died?
Yeah, very, very grim.
My brother works for the fire department on the East Coast, and he he's like super fit. Like, he's the perfect person for the the lifestyle of the fire. And when he first got out of training, he was, bullets would have bounced off him. He was fit. Like, he broke the record for the beep test in the in the physical part of the qualification to get into the fire department. And then they put him in his first station, and the first station that he was in was quite possibly the quietest station in the entire jurisdiction of New South Wales. And he said that he would start the shift, and he said that there were other guys in his platoon that would rock up, they would sit down on the couch, turn on the TV, and they would get out of the couch and leave the building when their shift ended.
Yeah, wow.
That was the shift. And here he is. He's got, literally the fittest guy out of the, the training and preparation academy. And he's got bullets bouncing off him, and he's just stir crazy because there's these guys that are just totally institutionalized that have obviously been doing that, walking in, sitting on the couch, watching TV for their entire, 8-hour shift or whatever it is, and then getting out of the couch and leaving the building. It drove him insane.
That suits some people. Some people wouldn't have it any other way.
Yeah.
It's very wide.
Well, and it's all they've known, but culture is huge. And then, he obviously was able to get out of that station and into a couple of other ones where, the culture was so much better. And, but yeah, when you were talking about the smoko shed, it just made me think of that straight away. So certainly, culture and that, that wolf pack, the whole idea of belonging to something that's, bigger than, just working for a Sparky type company. That sounds like it's been a really big differentiator. What are some of the other philosophies that have, in your mind, contributed to the success of the business and the growth of the business?
Number one would be definitely engaging a business coach. Most people that start a trades and construction business are good at their trade because that's what they've learned.
Yep.
But when you go into business, it's completely different. So you're trying to work it out as you go. You're on the tools all day. You're trying to work out what all your numbers mean. What's a P&L? Is that a cruise line? I don't know what that means. You're not knowing what. You don't really know what you're doing, so you're just flying by the seat of your pants and just winging it in a way, which is what I was doing at the start. Great electrician, but terrible businessman. So engaging a business coach was definitely the sort of the lead domino for me in our sort of business growth journey, I guess you'd call it. And I think no matter what size your business is, I think everyone can benefit from having a business coach and mentor.
So it's now been how long since you started?
My business or business coaching?
No, since you started the business.
I started in 2015. So we're coming up to 7 years now. Time flies.
Yep. Wow. And so you started off pretty much just you?
Yep. Just me.
And now how many crew have you got now?
There's 12 of us now, but we're looking for another 4. So it's hard to find tradesmen at the moment, but we've got enough work and capabilities with our current client base to expand pretty rapidly, and we've laid the foundations to take that next step for our growth. Just need to find the right people to fit our culture. Awesome.
So the obviously another philosophy has been getting help in the areas that don't represent your core area of expertise, and that makes so much sense. People have a particular skill, and then in most cases they have a similar journey to yourself where it's like I can do a better job, or it's either I can do a better job than the person that I'm working for, and you can see all the mistakes that they're making, or they just don't like working for someone, and that ends up being their motivation for starting their own business. But then what that they realize the inconvenient truth that there are other aspects other than the actual technical delivery or product delivery part of what they do that don't represent their core area of expertise.
Yeah.
So obviously, learning and making sure that you've got help in those areas that don't necessarily come naturally or that you haven't been trained to do, that's obviously another one in addition to the culture. Are there any other philosophies that you believe have contributed to the growth that you've had and the success that you've had?
Yes. So off the back of the business coaching is developing the deeper understanding of my numbers. So margins, charge out rates, making sure in the early days quoting a dollar amount that you're not really sure what that really means, blowing out on every job, leading to doing jobs for free. So that was one of the biggest takeaways for me out of business coaching was learning my numbers.
Yeah.
And then the other key major thing that's contributed to our success is taking the time to work on myself and eating right, exercising, educating. Just for so many years in the early stages, I put all my effort into trying to grow a business, and then just didn't really put any effort into myself. But the performance of the business was a direct reflection on how I felt about myself. So eating takeaway every day, lunch, dinner, breakfast, because you just felt you didn't have time to cook a packed lunch. You'd had to just get something on the way, which all of that just led to this big snowball of feeling tired all the time while working late. You just always felt like you were going round and round in circles. So putting in that time to improve myself just sort of open up my mind to think bigger and focus a bit more. So removed a lot of the brain fog, and having a partner you can communicate and connect with and really share some of these experiences. So I think that's important too. So a lot of the guys might go home and try and keep it all inside, just to try and protect their partner from some of that sort of stuff that's going on. But I found I benefited a lot more when I really connected and communicated more with my partner about what I was going through, not just in a business sense, but personally as well. So I think those couple of things are sort of the big key contributors for me in that success.
Yeah, definitely. My wife has a nutrition clinic, and she talks to so many people that they've just been, burning the candle at both ends, but actually not even burning proper fuel.
Not going anywhere.
Yeah, they're not actually feeding themselves anything that they can actually burn. So they're literally running on empty, and mentally it's so compromising. And it's not until you actually flick that switch and start eating properly. And we all go through stages where we we don't have the best diet, and we're not getting the right amount of sleep and all the rest of it. But you are so much more vulnerable than what a lot of people believe themselves to be, and they'll just keep going and keep going and keep going. And eventually you just get to burnout. And so you've got to, like you say, that self-care is so important. And I would imagine that filters down through into the culture side of what you're doing, to make sure that the guys that you've got working for you have also, got that self-care and that self-integrity, because that all supports, that all becomes part of the infrastructure and the architecture to make sure that the business continues to grow from a solid base.
Yeah.
So
if you can't look after yourself, how do you expect to run a successful business or be a leader for your team? If they see
exactly.
you're not taking care of yourself, then that sort of filters and spreads through your culture. So if they can see you as structured, you're always on time, he's taking care of himself, he's eating right, he's doing this, he's doing that. That rubs off on them.
Absolutely.
So it's pretty important to put that higher up your list than a lot of people normally do. Usually it comes last, looking after yourself.
Yeah, leadership is leading by example, and I love one of Seth Godin's quotes, which is, if you can't swim, you're a terrible lifeguard.
Mm.
Awesome. So what do you think would have been the 2 to 3 biggest obstacles or challenges that you've had in growing to where you are today, and how did you overcome them?
I think early on was, being, like I sort of said before, being the good tradesman, but not knowing what you're doing as a business owner. So having little to no understanding of your numbers, how a business actually operates. For me in particular, that sort of, it started early on where we probably weren't charging out at a correct rate. I wasn't putting the right markup on materials. I was underquoting jobs. I was doing variations for free just to try and keep my clients happy, but to my own detriment.
Yep.
And not having a good accountant at the time. So there's all these little things which built up to the start of a snowball to a big problem. So we built up quite a lot of ATO, supplier, and superannuation debt.
Yep.
So that was quite a big hole to get out of, and that caused a lot of stress, not just at work, but at home. So there was, some weeks, if not up to a month, where I wouldn't draw a wage at all. I was probably the lowest paid person in my business for quite a while. But the lead domino to getting on top of all that was, engaging a business coach and a mentor, just so I could learn how a business operates, what my charge out rates need to be, what my margins need to be on materials. Everything I've learned so much from business coaching that if I didn't engage a business coach when I did, I probably wouldn't be in business today.
Yeah, it's so important. I think that there are a lot of businesses that don't actually know how much profit they're actually making. As fundamental as that might sound to most people, I encounter it a lot, where I'll say, so, how much is what's your GP on each sale? And a lot of the time you get these looks, like you're eating spiders or something.
Yeah. What does that mean?
Yeah. What?
Yeah. But if you don't understand it, you're not making money, then why are you running a business? You might as well go back on wages.
Yeah, that's it. And then the other thing that I often say is, if you're going to go broke, don't go at work. Don't do it working your ass off. Do it sitting on a couch eating potato chips, watching Netflix.
Yeah. Much easier ways to do it.
Exactly. Or or the other one, no one invented a novel way of going broke.
No.
So there's only one way.
Yeah.
More going out than what you've got coming in.
Yeah.
And unless you monitor that, and unless you can become the steward of that, especially when you get to a point where you've got people that are relying on you, there's a duty of care, to be a good steward of how you're actually managing, cash flow and profit and projections and all of that stuff. But a lot of people either don't think it's important or they don't understand it, so they just ignore it. And that's a recipe for disaster.
Yeah, it's not just your livelihood; it's all the guys that you're working for. They've got families and kids. So if you're not looking after your own backyard, that's not just your responsibility. You're looking after or making sure that you can deliver for all of them as well. So that's super important.
Yeah, exactly. So in terms of getting clear on who your ideal client is, and then obviously getting in front of them and converting. I know that you do a lot of work with insurance builders.
Mm-hmm.
What have been the 3 biggest things that have made the biggest difference there?
Difference in engaging them, or what do you mean?
Well, I mean, it's one thing to identify them.
Yeah.
And that's a big percentage of it right there, right? So, if you know who your best client is,
Yeah.
what I find is when I'm working with people and I say, who's your best buyer, if someone doesn't have an answer to that question, my job's a lot harder. But if someone says to me, yes, I know who they are, then that makes, that's like in my experience, at least, that's 70-80% of the work done. But what's made the biggest difference in terms of you being able to because I know that in conversations that we've had previously, that represents a really solid long-term type opportunity for you, and it sounds like that's been a big part of your success, especially as it relates to margins when you're selling solar and stuff like that.
Well, if you look at things like the COVID, different the up and down with the economy, that sort of made me realize, like, the jobs that we lost back at the start of COVID because everyone just freaked out and cancelled this, cancelled that, and it really got me thinking about what is, no matter what's going on in the world, what's the most secure market to be in? Insurance.
Yep.
There's always going to be some form of fire, flood, or storm activity going on. Obviously, not putting all the eggs in that one basket, because you may have periods of, it could be 3 to 6 months between a big weather event. So having a backfill of other work as well to make sure that you're not pigeonholed, but finding that market was definitely the lead market we wanted to chase, because of the margins, the consistent work. You get on board with one of these clients and you're building a relationship with the one person, and purchase orders and work orders just keep flowing. So you're not putting all this work into getting one private client, where you can put the same amount of work, if not less, into getting a long-term client who could send you, hundreds of work orders, instead of putting hours and hours of work into just getting one sale. So that was a bit of an eye-opener for me. And I guess that started a bit of a thought process of, who are these people? Who are the people in positions that make the decisions? Who do I know that's currently working for these sorts of companies? So I started a little bit of research, and a few people that I knew were engaged with a few of these companies. So just talking to them about who to stay away from, who was good, reliable, what paid regularly, didn't mess you around, well communicated, and all that sort of stuff. So I started to make a bit of a list of the who I wanted to work for and who I don't want to work for, and then started looking through their websites, LinkedIn, looking for supervisors and repair coordinators, and connecting with them, finding out who is the person in charge of onboarding, because that's the first process, getting all your insurances and licenses and all that set up in their system. So that's the start of the process, and then finding out who else in that company you can work for. So it's once you're in and delivering the service, the work is pretty constant. And I found that tailoring my systems and processes to suit those specific clients led to us getting more purchase orders, more of the supervisors, more of the companies, and then it's just a bit of a copy paste for us, because they all have the same problems. They all operate fairly similarly, so it wasn't too hard to work out what their specific pain points were, what their current contractors weren't delivering on, and tailoring our business and our process to suit that, to make their life as easy as possible. And then we've just sort of grown pretty exponentially in the last 12 months, just off the back off the back of that, like listening to their specific problem and then answering it with our service.
Yep. Well, I mean, yeah, as most of the people that are listening will know, one of the things that I work with clients to do is this direct approach to get in front of your dream clients. And what you've just described beautifully is the exact process. It's like, okay, who do I want to deal with? Let's make a list. Let's fine tune that list and work out the ones that perhaps don't represent the best opportunity and the ones that are an absolute yes. We want to make sure that we get in front of them, and then approaching them, and then once you're in, working out who else within the building that you can work with. So since you became deliberate about doing that, what's that meant for the number of those type clients that you're working with? Because I think when you and I first started working together, I think you said that you had about 4 or 5.
We had 3 when we started working together, and now we have 11.
Yeah, awesome.
So that's companies, and then within those companies, they're the varying level and size of supervisors, repair coordinators, and like.
Yeah. Yeah, because you've just done a brilliant job of doing that, and obviously we've created some collateral that speaks directly to some of those pain points, and it's just been so awesome to see the growth, and to be to see that you're now in a situation where those people are sending you a lot more purchase orders, and you've been able to grow with those target type people, because in the absence of that, it's like, well, who can we help? Well, we can help anyone. We deal with private residences or private businesses, and it's that one-off thing. But it's like, who has a front end opportunity and a back end opportunity that we can develop by continuing to deliver great work, which is obviously what you've been able to do as well. It's not just about getting in front of somebody and converting them the one time. It's about service delivery as well.
Yeah.
If you weren't doing a great job, they wouldn't keep coming back to you.
No, account management's just as important as business development. You can put all this work in to get a new client, get them on board, and then 3 months later, something happens unbeknownst to you, and then all of a sudden the purchase orders dry up, and then you just keep chasing the new client, where you just left an opportunity on the table to work out, have I done something wrong here? Which this has happened to us in the past, where every month I try and touch base with various clients and supervisors, just to see how my management team are performing and how the guys on site are delivering our service. Because I'm not overly involved with all the day-to-day or every single job. So if I can put in a call just to check in, how's things going, you'll find out problems that have occurred, which haven't been big problems, but they've been enough to cause an issue for them to not send you more work. And I've managed to, rebuild and improve a few relationships just off doing that and finding out. Some clients think that we might have been a bit too expensive in some areas, and then just explaining and educating why these certain jobs are a bit more expensive. You cleared the air, and there wasn't a general, they're just raising their prices. It was, okay, actually there is a reason for it. And if I didn't make that call, I wouldn't have got that opportunity to educate them and maintain that relationship.
I think the key part of that is account management, but the subset within there is well, what are you managing? Well, you're managing the relationship, because there's nothing worse than we only ever hear from them when they want work, or we only ever hear from them when they want money. So there's managing the relationship and actually showing that you do value the relationship. But then the other thing that you've just touched on there is managing expectation. So the meaning of the communication is the response that you get. So your communication is, well, hey, there's been a, like in a lot of building type companies, there've been unprecedented increases in costs. So, there are situations where people have had to increase their prices by 10 and 20%, and it's like, well, doesn't everyone know that? Isn't everybody experiencing that? Well, the meaning of the communication is the response that you get. So you put your prices up, and the response that you get is that suddenly you don't get any purchase orders for a while.
Yeah.
So managing that expectation is, hey, look, this is not. It's not like we're just gouging everybody. We can show you the supplier invoices.
Yeah.
The actual cost of this stuff's gone up. What's that?
You can never assume
No.
what they're thinking. You can need to take all assumption off the table, and then the difference in having a 5-minute conversation with someone can mean tens of thousands of dollars in lost revenue if you didn't have that conversation.
Yeah, exactly. So how do people generally respond? Because I would imagine that not many of the other businesses that they might be dealing with would be that consistent or diligent in maintaining that dialogue. What type of response do you get when you continue that open dialogue with people?
Generally, they don't. Then they're aware of obviously building materials going up and up, but there's things like stock shortages, or for example, in the solar industry, at the end of the calendar year, when the new calendar year starts, the government rebate on solar panels decreases every year. So that would mean the system is in turn more expensive. So if they're just seeing 15-20% increase in our stock standard, it's called 6 kilowatt system, then alarm bells will ring. Why are these guys starting to charge more? They're just pulling our leg. They're just trying to make some more money out of us. They haven't been educated on why that's gone up. So if there's anything like that happening in our marketplace, I always get on the front foot and tell them that this is coming. So there's no shock when it comes to a quote or an invoice. That there's no shock, or there's no assumption made that there's any price gouging going on. There's a reason for it. So I think as long as you explain it, everyone's been pretty open and forthcoming with working with you.
Yep. Awesome. So Ben, look, there's certainly some big rocks that you've shared that I think someone who would potentially either be at the starting point of growing a business, perhaps in the same situation as what you were 7 years ago. The things that I've taken note of are the culture piece, which is just massive, and I think even more important in the current environment that we're in, where we've got an unemployment rate of 4%, and it's really difficult to find new people, as you've encountered, and it's even more important to retain good people that are in your organization. So the cultural piece is massive. The self-care piece is even more massive, because there's all sorts of downward pressure on us from I think from a psychological and a mental perspective. There's all sorts of potentially disturbing things that we could be focusing on in our world right now. And I think that self-care piece is massive. And then I think getting the help and the coaching to support you in the areas that you can be upfront with yourself about, that you don't know about but are crucial, like numbers and managing profit and all that sort of stuff. So from our conversation, they're certainly the big rocks. And then of course, getting clear on who your best clients are and making a direct play to them. But is there anything else that you would potentially be wanting to share with either somebody who is in the same situation as you were 7 years ago, or if you were able to get in a time machine and have a conversation with 2014 Ben, is there anything else that you would share?
I think for me personally, if I wouldn't change a thing with my journey, because I feel like it has taught me so much. So you needed to go through some of that struggle to learn off the back of it. But I probably would, if I could go back and tell myself something, it would be swallow your pride and be a bit more open about what you're experiencing. Seek help a bit earlier. So any of the guys listening that might be in a similar situation, you might not want to engage a coach or a mentor this early on. You might only just be starting out, but who do you know in the industry that has their own business as well? Can you have a conversation with them, share some common experiences, and don't afraid to be vulnerable. If you're feeling stressed or overwhelmed, tell somebody. Don't swallow your pride and keep it to yourself. A problem shared is a problem halved. So if you can be open and communicate with someone else about how you're feeling and how whatever the stress you might be under in your business or personal life, it's just so much easier to get it out and get an outsider's perspective to help you through it. So I think that's probably something that took me a bit too long to realise. So yeah, I still would have gone through the same journey, definitely, because I value and appreciate how much it's taught me. Yeah.
Yeah, awesome. Well, mate, I have very much enjoyed our chat. Thank you so much for being on the show. And, mate, I will no doubt chat to you soon. If anyone is in the Queensland or Brisbane area and needs electrical or solar installations, Wolf Energy is what to Google, and you will find them. They do a fantastic job. But, mate, yeah, thanks once again for being on the show, and I will chat to you soon.
Thanks, John. Thanks for having me.
You've been listening to Master Dealmaker Secrets with John Blake. Subscribe to get more in-depth strategies and maximize your sales process with new episodes every other week. And double your inquiry to sale conversion with the lead flow you already have. Go to johnblakeaudio.com for his exclusive, free, no fluff audio training and companion PDF guide.